Hi, and welcome to The Art of Film Funding. I'm your co-host, Claire Papin, along with writer-producer Carol Dean, author of the best-selling book, The Art of Film Funding, and host of this show. Carol is the president of From the Heart Productions, a nonprofit organization that has supported filmmakers with the Roy W. Dean Grant, fiscal sponsorship, education, and resources for over 30 years. Carol also teaches the Learn Producing class. Each class features an industry expert guest instructor and is designed to give the information, guidance, and support to become a successful producer. You can learn more about this class and all of From the Heart Productions offerings at FromTheHeartProductions.com.
In today's episode of The Art of Film Funding, we share how filmmakers can secure up to $25 million in private credit and also unlock powerful tax incentives with innovator Erik Garden of FilmHedge. So thank you for joining us, Erik. Tell us about yourself and FilmHedge.
Yes, well, there's one thing I love to do is talk about FilmHedge. Not myself as much, but I'm more than happy to briefly give a description of who I am. And since this is an audio podcast, I like to say that I am very handsome. I know you guys can't see me, but I'm a looker, okay? And then, but more importantly, my name is Erik Gordon. I am a partner and VP at FilmHedge. What we do at FilmHedge, well, let me give you a little background about myself, if you don't mind. I was a professor for 10 plus years in business, organizational theory, behavior, marketing, supply chain management, et cetera. And what always drew me to film was the nostalgia and the beauty, the elegance, and overall sexiness of the actual industry. But I also noticed that it was kind of hard to break into it if you didn't know the right people. So then I try to look and understand other ways to do so. And as a professor or former professor, I was able to create different courses in different disciplines, specifically within business and business management. And FilmHedge came about because of John Gauzier and co-founder Mickey Vetter. I was one of the first people. There's only 5 of us, 8, ancillary, but 5 mains. And when he came to me with the idea, I said, this is brilliant. This is paradigm shifting brilliance. And one thing I will say about John Gauzier, whether he's around me or he's not, is he's one of the smartest people I have ever met in my life. And so when he was explaining to me how this works, how film financing works, I then realized that, and we always talk about this, him and I, it's about, for me, it's we can democratize film. That means more people will have access to funds to be able to get more creative stories out there. He looks at it a little different than I do, but it's a beautiful way for people to really get their dreams out there and this basically, how this works, it basically takes you through the multiple levels of what a studio does. If you notice anything about a studio, they will break down all of these different departments into 8 to 10 different departments, and none of the departments really talk to each other. And as a result, the film financing from a debt facility standpoint makes it easier for a filmmaker and creative to have control over their destiny, if that makes sense.
Well, yes, but you offer up to $25 million in credit. So tell us, what does a production company need to qualify for that kind of capital?
Of course. So there's really a very specific list. First and foremost, your film has to be bonded. Now, I created a 4-course method with over 80 quizzes and 7 tests called The Business of Film, or bizoffilm.com, bizoffilm.com. And the reason I did this is because people really need to know this. I know Academy Award nominees and winners from the producer level to the actor level to the director level, who have had tremendous success, but they do not know how the machine is ran. So you need to have your film bonded. You need to go ahead, and that's paramount. We cannot do anything with you if your film is not bonded. We can, however, get tax incentives for you, or cash flow your tax incentives. And then we can also finance you with a domestic distribution deal that has a minimal guarantee. In addition to that, we can also finance you if a reputable international pre-sale company is willing to offer cash, and we can finance that as well. So we finance receivables, much like a construction loan.
Yeah, great. Well, everybody knows financing receivables if you've ever been in business. So, yes, we understand that. So, first you have to build up some assets for you to finance, right?
Well, yes. And the reason I keep mentioning this course is because, and the reason I mentioned FilmHedge is because they're intertwined almost, right? So a lot of filmmakers don't know that before they even get a camera or a set, if they can package their film correctly, not a pitch deck, but if they can package their film correctly, they can get international pre-sales, and we can lend against that.
Well, now
These,
this is really important. Package the film correctly. So, do you help them package their film?
we don't offer those services, but we still try to help people along the way because at FilmHedge, we truly believe in the small wins. And what do I mean by that? There's only about 4 to 5 other companies that do what we do. We just do it a little bit faster, and we have another suite of opportunities that people can actually use, right? For example, there are other companies that we won't name that have packaging services, and they charge filmmakers for that. We don't necessarily do that. We develop the relationships. Some of these other companies that are like us will take a significant amount of equity to do a debt facilitation. We don't do that. We believe in the interest, and if we negotiate a small equity piece, that's possible, but we believe in the smaller wins, which is the interest on the loan that is going out. Uh, so that's some of the indefensible differentiation that we have at FilmHedge that makes us unique to the space. The packaging is key, right? LOIs don't necessarily count. Letters of intent don't necessarily count. Having people truly attached with contracts and dates can make that film go faster, as you well know, and can attract real big pre-sale companies, which will then offer an amount, and then we can lend against that as well.
So, just one second here. So, you're saying having people attached with contracts and dates of shooting. You mean shooting dates, right?
Yes, ma'am. Or shooting periods, right? So however you get them attached is how you get them attached. But
Uh-huh.
but your script is paramount, but having those attachments, and I don't know, and I don't, I'll just say this, and maybe, the audience knows, but every single person has a value attached to them of note, right? Uh, so an actor has their pre-sale value, their domestic value. Producers have pre-sale value, domestic, international pre-sale value, domestic value. Directors have the same. So when you have those attachments, you're basically putting money, a value, onto your actual project.
Right. As well as your DP and your director. Those are great assets, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so when someone wants to come to you with a product, they have to be fully developed, really. They have to have a script, a good script, director attached, maybe one or two actresses or two actors attached. So they've got to raise the money to get to that level before they come to you, right?
Yes and no. There are projects that we've seen people attached, but there was no money exchanged. Directors that are attached, and there was no money exchange on their development side. It's the it, it's simple, just not easy, right? And that's where relationships and a good script on their end works. I often tell people from our end as financiers, I don't care if you have Tupac, Betty White, and Geraldo Rivera in your movie. Right? I don't care, right? Now, the left side of my brain absolutely cares. The right side, business side, from the film financier side, I do not care. We just care that it is packaged, financially packaged correctly. And so, say for example, uh, the producer that you were talking about has a relationship with an A-list actor. Hey, I will need you attached. Can you attach this? Yes, I can attach this on these grounds. Okay, perfect. Hey, director that I've known forever, can you attach? Absolutely, on these grounds. So now you have a pretty strong start out to the package, right? Because you have that relationship, or that person believes in that script, or the director really wants to direct it. And that's when a lot of your networking comes in. And people are like, well, you don't have to be a big Hollywood nothing. You know, the Blacklist, who has an amazing amount of scripts that people want all the time, people try to attach those people for next to nothing, if for nothing. And then now you have something that you can go out and lend against from a pre-sale, international pre-sale value, or from a domestic distribution minimal guarantee value. It's just about how and where you make this play. But traditionally, most people would have to raise a few funds to attach those people.
Right. Well, how much uh, do you care about the script? Do you use something like Largo AI and run the script and get a report of the potential return on investment? Or how do you judge the value of the script?
Yes, ma'am. The script is inconsequential to us unless it's ridiculously offensive. But we don't necessarily care about that because your film could go on to make $1 billion, and we wouldn't have a piece of that. We would only take the interest from the studio, uh, the interest amount of the loan that we take, that the minimal guarantee that was given by the studio distributor would give them. So we don't take any money from the actual success of your film.
Okay. So you're really looking for a package to present for financing.
Absolutely. If you go to filmhedge.com, you can go ahead and apply for our film financing right then and there, which other companies are just now starting to catch up and do. But we were one of the first to do that. Like we, all of us at FilmHedge love film and television, love it. But we also know the path to getting people's dreams out there doesn't necessarily rely on if we love something or not, or if it does well. We are simple. We operate very similarly to a bank.
To a bank, right? Okay, that's easy to understand.
Yeah.
Well, so tell us about how filmmakers can use Section 168, the depreciation, to attract investors.
Well, 168 is interesting, but I really do love 181.
Yes, me too.
So, and you'll hear some filmmakers. I'm sure somebody's like, it doesn't work. Somebody right now is listening to this podcast. It doesn't work. Oh man, I've never seen it used before. I'm here to tell you, we did it 8 times last year alone, and in those
Wow.
8 times, we were able approximately, let's use a rough amount of $6 million. We saved investors over $70 million in taxes
Whoa.
using 181. And so those things are
Well, with the 181, you're using that. So, uh, do you is that part of the asset side? In other words, if the film has been, you have to put in your tax report that you are going to use 181, right? And then you have to uh, go work with an attorney who understands it.
absolutely, we have that built in here at FilmEdge.
Oh, how fabulous!
Yes, ma'am.
That's
It's part of the uh, uh, suite of things that we have that we use for our advantage that others just don't know or haven't caught up to use yet. So if you have somebody, and this is the best way I can say it to people who are listening. And that's why I tell you now, bizoffilm.com, 8 hours of lecture, 4 textbooks, 80 plus quizzes, 5 tests. And if you can do that and understand it, 9 times out of 10, not just us, but others will be able to fund your film because you'll understand the business of film. So this is the easiest example, right? Say you have a $10 million film and it's the $10 million a strike, right? But you only have $9 million that you've been able to get. You can talk to somebody that has a $10 million tax bill, $10 million tax bill, and say, hey, look, if you give me $1 million in equity, you can write that full $10 million off. They give you the $1 million in equity to get you to strike. They can write off that full $10 million on their taxes.
Wow.
It's an asset class. It's right there. It's right there in the federal tax code. Don't believe me. Look it up yourself.
Right. It's in the tax code.
That's right.
Well, what about state taxes? Because if you sometimes some states are 35%, you put that with the 181 and you're what, 60% funded,
Uh-huh.
70%, somewhere in there?
Listen, these tax attorneys are brilliant and the taxes are brilliant. People need to understand, like, I've taught at every level of education. I've taught it at elementary, I've taught at middle, I've taught at high school, and I've taught at the collegiate level. One thing I learned that differentiates the success stories from the stories that could have been is not talent. Actually, talent is 30% of success. It's the hard work, determination, and drive that I see from the people who want to know more. One of the analogies I use is, say you work in an office building and everybody parks in the parking deck, right? 1,000 cars, 1,000 people at the office. One day, everybody comes out and none of their cars work. None of them. Now, the question is, out of 1,000 people who's all trying to figure out what happened in their car, who knows where to look first or what to do? That person is the person that can get their dreams out there because they've taken the time to learn about the car. Because most people, just like with film and television, just like with everything else, they know to get in the car and push the button or turn the key and the car starts and they drive. But there's somebody who has a passion for cars that want to know why when the car turns or when I press that button, it turns on. They want to know about the combustion and the spark plugs and the oil and and the alternator. And the reason I'm using this analogy is I collect cars. But it's that person who wants to know more, who has a desire to not be told no at face value, that is going to be successful. And that's why when we talk to people, to filmmakers, we take the time to talk to them, to try to educate them as much as possible for what they're doing. We don't always have the time for it. It's not in our job description, but we do it because we're genuinely good people. And the reason I developed those 4 textbooks and those quizzes and those tests at bizoffilm.com is because I want people who want to know. Because every film festival, whether it be Cannes or Berlin or Toronto or Holly Shorts, or ABFF or Martha's Vineyard, and I'm watching these creatives have a severe passion, an obsession to get their stories told. And sometimes I look at them and they're worn and they're defeated because they think that the world is not listening to them. When all they have to do is turn that creativity off or put it to the side and learn the business side of film. Learn this industry like you learn the creative, and you'll see success.
And that is brilliant. You're absolutely right. And thank you for putting all the time and energy and money into the business, bizoffilm.com. Great. Now, let me just ask you, do you think that film has become a serious asset class that people can really believe that they can make money in film and it's becoming more of a go-to place for investors.
Absolutely. If I am willing to say this out loud. Anybody who wants to make money, who wants to make more money in this specific asset class, need to be in film. They need to actually talk to us. And I'm not just saying, bring all your money here. The reason I say that is because we've made something as close to bulletproof as possible. As close to bulletproof as possible because of those bonds, right? When a film is bonded, look, I love creatives. FilmHedge loves creatives. But anybody that knows anything about creatives know that creatives can be creative and they can cause problems or cause issues with things that are, not properly backed by insurance. And so to keep people's money safe, secure, and to almost, I can never say guarantee because nobody can ever guarantee anything fully, but we've never had any defaults. We're over 50 film and television shows. We have not had one default. And the reason being is because listen, I've been on the phone with some of the biggest stars in Hollywood, met with all of them. I got this thing and da 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 da. But I'm like, is it bonded? Nah, it's not. Can't help you. I don't care if you're on the Walk of Fame. I can't help you because we need to make sure that our money is safe. Our investors' money is safe. These are the protocol and issues that we have to ensure that, number one, the movie gets made. Number two, that our investors are, I can't say guaranteed, but investors are going to have their money when we say they're going to have it. And that's how we are able to move so quickly and freely, because we make sure we're very stringent on this. We underwrite about 10% of all Hollywood films. So we basically, we do about an estimated $1.9 billion in loan requests every year. So we have no shortage of projects. It's, do they fit this criteria? And that criteria has to look like that. No questions, no exceptions.
All right. So the thing is that they really have to educate themselves on the business of film. That's the first thing. And come to you with the things you've mentioned earlier. And so what advice could you give to filmmakers to learn to think like investors? All right. Because that's what it really takes. You have to be on the other side in order to sell them. You've got to create a pitch that takes into consideration the risk they're taking.
You had to create a package. I have a whole textbook, 184 pages about packaging. It's called The Truth About Packaging inside that course. And the reason I have that, and as always, any professor will tell you, you had to have prerequisites, right? And when you're dealing with creatives, you had to keep them in line and in order. And what do I mean by that? Don't take offense, creatives. I don't want you hopping all around the course and then only say, well, I didn't learn anything. Well, because you were going to the things you think you needed, but you don't know what you don't know until you know it. So the whole book is dedicated to packaging. It's the first book. Well, I know how to package. Do you? Because if you knew how to package, guess what? You'd be making film. And so you need to understand the truth about packaging, the script, the actors, the production services, the team, the ROI, the debt, the pre-sales. All of this stuff needs to be in order. The next thing is domestic distribution. Your first window, your second window, how are you going to do that? Why are you going to do that? The avenues you should take, the avenues you shouldn't take, the avenues you got to watch out for, the early adopted methods, the laggard methods. Then you do international pre-sale for the international market. Understand that part. So then once you understand that, then you know why this actor appeared in this movie for no reason other than to, guess what, boost international pre-sales. You ever seen a movie where you don't know why that person is in this movie? They don't fit for some reason, but they're
Yes.
It's because it's part of the business.
The business of film.
Why is, if you know, God bless Bruce Willis. Do you remember when Bruce Willis was starring in all those random movies that appeared on Netflix?
Yes.
Yes. Ask yourself why. Because the business of film will tell you why. When you're done with it, you'll understand why all of a sudden Keanu Reeves is in some random movie overseas because we knew it would sell here or they knew it would sell there. This is
Yeah.
business more than anything. And I want the creatives to take the time out to look at the passion, the pageantry, and all the sexy things about film, but also look at this stuff like you're making a tomato can, like you're making a license plate, like you're making a bike. And once you understand that, they will see the success that they think eludes them or they think is unfair. I guarantee it.
This is wonderful. Erik, my son was an actor, and he went through all of the things you're talking about, uh, being rejected and finally getting accepted. But what he used to say was, they don't know me in Hollywood, but they maul me in Manila because the Philippines always played Corman's films, and he was in all of Corman's films.
Mhm. Absolutely.
It's
And
international sales.
it's international pre-sales. Understanding that space is what's key. It's key for success. And you'll see there's a recent two-time Academy nominee actor who was talking about his place in the space. And brilliant, talented, all the things. The issue is if they understood, and what we're doing now is helping them understand where their success lies. Their success lies in the business side of it. They already know who he is. Now he has to strategically place himself in certain films and in certain spaces inside that stratosphere to up his ante, to up the price to get where he wants to get. But it's a process. Just like I told you, like making a tomato can, like making a license plate, like putting together a bike. And these things are not always going to be smooth, but I'm telling you, it's a market. It's just a simple market, and they'll understand that.
Exactly. Well, tell us how people can reach you, please.
Yes, ma'am. Of course, you can always reach me at Erik Erik at filmhedge.com. Little side note: my parents were going to name me Junebug Jedi Gordon. It's a little story from the time. It was the '80s. But Erik at filmhedge.com. And then the other thing is you can follow me on Instagram at Mr. Gordon to you, MrGordon, the number two and the letter U, Mr. Gordon to you, due to my educational background. And then always at bizoffilm.com, bizoffilm.com, bizoffilm.com. And also, if they do enroll in the courses, we give office hours. That means they can talk to me personally. They can talk to different people that we will bring in for lecture via Zoom, from producers to other film financiers, so they can actually get the real world knowledge and ask those questions in real time, because those things are extremely important. If you are a lover of people, I know I'm going off, but if you are a lover of people, you don't want to see people frustrated, hurt, sad, or dejected. That's why I made that course, because I kept seeing those things whenever I would speak on panels across the world. And I just want to make sure that they actually have the education to arm themselves to be able to look at this not as a please let me get lucky and pick me, but look at it like a business, and they will
Which
have success.
is, you're so right, Erik. Tell me, where can we buy your book?
At bizoffilm.com. It's the whole course. They'll get all four textbooks. They'll get all four textbooks and over 8 hours of lecture, and live lectures and everything, office hours, etc.
How
At
fantastic.
bizoffilm.com. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for giving us all this information and sharing your knowledge. It's wonderful, Erik.
Well, I truly appreciate you with the questions. They were beautiful, actually. So thank you. And I hope I answered everybody's questions. But if they didn't get it answered, info at bizoffilm.com, Erik at FilmHedge, Erik at FilmHedge, or any of the social medias. You can find me. I'd be more than happy to talk. I don't care if it's a million people. And, if I have a million minutes, I'm willing to talk.
That sounds wonderful. We really appreciate you and your new company, FilmHedge. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a great day, Erik. Good
Yes,
luck.
yes, ma'am. Thank you. And look, let's reach back out. Let's get some updates. Because I just want to help. So if I can help as many people as I can understand the business of film, I'd be more than happy and willing to do so.
Okay, that's the deal. Thank you, Claire. Thank you very much, Erik.
All right. You guys have a great day.
Okay, bye.
Be well, everyone.
Be well.
Now, in its second edition, Carol Dean's popular book, The Art of Film Funding, has 12 new chapters to cover all areas of film financing and how to avoid expensive pitfalls. Learn how to start with an idea and end with a trailer, how to make an ask for money, create your story structure and your trailer, legal advice, fair use, successful crowdfunding, how to ask for music rights, and what insurance you can't shoot without. Available on Amazon under Carol Dean and at FromTheHeartProductions.com. I want to remind our listeners that David Rakelin is a brilliant and talented award-winning musician who scores films and can compose music for a trio or for a full orchestra. David is a very good friend to the independent filmmaker and comes highly recommended by From the Heart Productions. If you need music to help tell your story, please contact him at davidrakelin.com. That's David, RAIKLEN.com. And Carol and I want to thank you for tuning in to The Art of Film Funding. Please visit our website at FromTheHeartProductions.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Good luck with your films, everyone.